You've seen it in the news, we talked about it on the podcast, we talked about it in these videos. A recession is coming. The question is, are you ready for a recession in your B2B sales role? Because if you want to come out of this economic dip intact, then you need to start preparing, preparing right now. And one of the best ways to do this is by setting more meetings right now and beginning the work of overloading your pipeline. So if the recession does come and people drop out of it, you're still doing absolutely fine. Hi, my name is Will and I make selling simple. Now in today's video, we're going to cover that dreaded word that seems to be on everyone's mind right now. The word is recession. Now, not whether it's going to happen or if it's going to happen or what the fallout could be, but what can you do to protect yourself or heck, even come out ahead of your competitors by booking more meetings today and becoming recession proof. First, we're going to lay the groundwork by looking at what recession actually is, what it means for you, your clients, and your prospects as well. Then we're going to take a look at how you can book more meetings, how you can amplify your booking rate, and we're going to cover this in 3 points in particular, including upping your qualification game, number 2, adjusting your value proposition, and then number 3, demonstrating the costs of not making a change and not moving over to the product or service that you sell. Now, let me tell you this, recessions suck, we all know this, but they are inevitable and they don't have to suck in our B2B sales role as much as what the media makes out that they're going to, especially when you know what you're doing. So let's jump right into it. Now, experts agree that there's a recession looming in the not too far distant future. We can all see it coming, right? How big it's going to be, how long it's going to last, whether COVID affected it, whether the printing of money in the US during the pandemic caused it, who knows, who cares? It doesn't really matter. But what we do know is how it's going to affect buyers as a whole. So let's take a look at that right now. Let's look at what a recession actually means for your buyers. Obviously, an important variable in all of this for you. First and foremost, it means that your clients and potential customers are going to spend less money. When money becomes tight, and of course it will, your buyers are going to try to spend less money than what they did in good times, unless it's a product that they're actually desperate for, and then all things are off the table here. And that means that you need to get better at driving urgency, selling value, and showing your buyers why you are a solid investment for them to work with. Number 2, buyers are scared about the future of their own jobs, like personally as individuals. So zooming in from a high-level company view into your buyers and those people as an individual and their own fears, we need to look at how secure their jobs are and if we can help them with this. If the department is on the chopping block, if all budgets get cut, and how them making a buying mistake or even the risk or chance of them making a buying mistake by working with you could get their job chopped. Number 3, buyers are also going to start shifting their priorities. Because in a growth market, companies are looking for opportunities, right? They're looking for chances to get bigger, to get better, to expand and just dominate an entire marketplace. But just like you, they're all looking during a recession for ways to shore up the status quo. They are more concerned with having the cash flow and the cash in the bank to stay afloat so they can wait out the storm and then grow big 12 months, 18 months from now. And number 4, your buyers during a recession are scared of change. This is because even though change can lead to positive results, it does carry a risk. And as a result, buyers are going to be way less likely to spend their already tight budgets on anything that's a big shift internally for them, for their organization. Change is already scared enough, but in a recession, this can become a bit of a nightmare for B2B salespeople. So, with all that in mind, the question then becomes, well, what can you do to capitalize on these shifts? Rather than retract, what can we do to expand our own sales process, our meetings, our deals done on the back of this so that we can win during and then especially post the recession? And the most important thing here with all of this is just to book more damn meetings. And there are 3 things in particular you can do as a sales professional to keep your pipeline packed. Number 1, you need to up your qualification game, because when the market's booming, you might have the time and resources to focus on just anyone who shows you even just the slightest bit of interest. But when times are tight, every second starts to count. And that means you've got to spend your day working with your best leads rather than just anyone that marketing throws at you or that you can get on the phone. Now, you're going to start to run into 3 different types of leads here. People who have money to spend right now, obviously, great prospects. People who will have money when things lighten up and the economy gets better. And then 3, people who don't have money now and they probably won't exist 3 years from now when all of this goes to a much happier place. So your goal, of course, is to prioritize the people with money to spend now. You've got to put in 70, 80, 90% of your efforts into these individuals because they're the only ones you've got a chance of doing deals with in the medium term. The buyers who are going to wait for the economy to shift should be priority number 2. Don't leave them out entirely because once things do turn around, you can have a massive inflow of money in that Q1 of whenever the recession ends and the market upticks. You can have a massive Q1 there that oftentimes can offset any negative results you had during the recession, which management leadership should be, somewhat more flexible in these moments versus when the economy is good. So don't forget, the relationships that you're building right now are going to lead to massive quarters in the not too distant future. And then finally, we've got I can't do business now, and I'm not sure if we can do business later leads. Ignore these individuals. Perhaps put them in a long-term follow-up cadence, but don't spend too much, if any, one-on-one time with them. Instead, just start to follow up after the market recovers and invest the bulk of your time in the first 2 lead types instead. And the better you are at qualifying, the better you're going to fare right now, during a recession, and then of course after it as well. Technique number 2 is adjusting your value proposition. Now, in regular times, you're probably used to hitting some core points about talking about your product solution and benefits. Perhaps it can help revenue, help your company expand, it's going to grow your market, all this kind of just generic stuff, right? These are most salespeople's go-tos. Well, during a recession, things have changed. In a recession, your prospect belts are tightening and the growing takes a backseat to maintaining and just even surviving for a lot of organizations. So what does that mean for you, right? Well, it means to maximize your booking rate to get more deals, demos, proposals, conversations in the diary. You need to shift your value proposition to how you can help your prospect get more from less. I'll say that again. You need to talk about how you help your prospects get more from less. So instead of focusing on straight ROI, return on investment, and talking about massive growth in the market, talk about how you can boost efficiency. Talk about how your product helps the buyer cut costs, reduce the time they're spending, and how they can make the budget that they've got right now from working with you go even further. And as a cherry on top, show your buyers that your solution doesn't just streamline the business as a whole, maybe it's going to make their job more secure as an individual as well. In these times, there's more emotion roaming around than ever before, and so you've got to deal with essentially the emotional needs of the organization, of yes, you will survive as an organization, but also the emotional needs of the individuals that we're engaging with of, hey, you work with us, we make you look good, you become unsackable, we make your job more secure as well. That's what we need to be hitting, these 2 layers of emotion. Then last but not least, we need to demonstrate the costs of not making any change whatsoever. Now this is important because the status quo, which is this idea that when people are stressed, they just freeze up and they don't want to change, they don't want to take any action, even if what they're doing right now is going to lead to a worse outcome than if they did make a change. This status quo reigns supreme during a recession. But your buyers shouldn't just be focused on not growing, they should also be looking for ways to prevent problems as well. Because not taking any action and just sitting with the status quo in hard times, especially during a recession, can be a problem in its own right. Companies will go under during this period, and the ones that survive should be and need to be proactively looking for ways to increase and improve their competitiveness. And that doesn't mean going out and gathering more market share necessarily, but it might mean becoming more profitable, for example. So when you're working with a new prospect, be sure to hit on the costs of not changing especially hard. And the more that they see that in action, not changing providers, software, tools, hardware, solutions is going to lead to more detriment than the risk of changing, then they're going to be more likely to consider your solution. Okay, so nobody, there might be some kind of financial investors who have leveraged this position, right? But most people don't enjoy running and working through a recession. This is because during a recession, your prospects, your B2B prospects, my B2B prospects are probably spending less money, even though they perhaps know that they should spend more. They are scared for their own job, and so they're unlikely to take meetings unless you can really prove that they are 100% necessary. They're going to start to shift their priorities from doing great things within their industry to just securing the status quo and surviving, and they're going to be more scared of change than ever before. But you can protect yourself from the worst effects of a recession in one simple way. Just book a crap load more meetings. And to do this, you've got to up your qualification game and prioritize people with urgency. Next, number 2, you've got to adjust your value proposition to focus more on getting more from less rather than just ROI straight up. And number 3, you've got to demonstrate the costs of not making a change, because companies will go under. And if they want to survive, they've got to take some kind of action to get to the other side of all this. So hopefully, instead of dreading this upcoming recession, I've given you a few pointers here so that you can take steps to prepare for it. Because, and this is so important, Sales Nation, the more meetings that you've got confirmed in your pipeline right now, because most people in B2B sales, especially if you're doing any kind of deal size, it's going to take weeks, if not months, and in some cases years to get these deals done. The more deals you have in your pipeline right now, qualified deals, the better you're going to fare over the perhaps couple of tough years that we've got coming ahead of us. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, why not click the video on the screen right now and continue making selling simple.